Hello, I'm Tara Ledesma, your host of the Gapers Delay podcast, and welcome to episode 2. We're going to discuss schools. I have some insane but true school experiences that I've encountered. Whether it was me in school or me as the parent having a child in school, I don't think there's any shortage of experiences that were encountered over the last few decades. And I'd like to take some time to kind of go over everything, I guess, and just discuss. I'm sure some have shared experiences and others this may come as a shock. But let's start from the beginning. School for me in the 80s, I guarantee you from 80s till I graduated, all my report cards were consistently the same. Every year. Doesn't pay attention, talks too much, is not comprehending. I'm pretty sure my later diagnosis of ADHD, inattentive, played a role into that. Too bad they didn't know that then, but here we are. I had to cope. But it comes with the territory, I guess. They didn't have a lot of diagnoses for girls back in, those days. More guys were diagnosed than girls because they displayed ADHD differently than a lot of females did. Well, from what studies I read anyway. Yeah, it was the school that did a lot of the testing, the hearing testing, the vision, and that's what caught my hearing issues was the school, because we didn't have primary care doctors, well, at least I didn't. The school was basically my primary care doctor. They did find that I had hearing issues, which probably masked my inattentive ADHD hindsight. The school, when they discovered this, required my mom get a hearing test, and it did show that I did need surgery for tubes, which ended up going all the way into my adult life, but I think that explained a lot why I was a klutz. I was a klutz throughout my whole life, which, if I have hearing issues, that's probably why, because my equilibrium was off. And why is that? I always told my mom I blamed her because she smoked while pregnant, and now my ear holes are too small. They don't drain correctly the way they should. I would trip up the stairs, walk in the walls. Teachers, they, I believe, have the power to make or break students, whether it is an emotional, educational, any way of contribution to students can make a difference, whether good or bad, whether you're trying to skate through the school year or actually leave an impression on students. And you always hear them stories about people when they graduate, about that one teacher they always will remember the rest of their lives. And I have actually several of those for different reasons. One teacher I remember more of a traumatic reason, and this kind of kicked off more bullying for me. I blame her. I really do. We were all sitting in the classroom in a circle on the floor as she was reading something. And again, unbeknownst to me, my inattentive ADHD, I went ahead on my work. So she had kicked me. And obviously I went home crying. My mom was a FAFO type of parent, She will jump out of bushes at people for just the principle of the matter. So that was, I knew she was going to have a problem with the school, or the school was going to have a problem with her. I'm not sure how to word that. So I know she prepared attorney responses and everything, because after she passed, I found a box of a bunch of stuff regarding this incident. And in this box was an attorney denial letter, and also in this box was a bunch of questionnaires written out on notebook paper. And it was handwritten, and there was a space next to each question, which apparently was left for each student in my classroom to fill out. So as an adult reading these, and my mom has since passed from cancer, it was pretty devastating, but also, connected a lot of dots for me on why the bullying definitely increased after all of this for me. specifically. So what had happened is after she kicked me and I seen all these questions on this questionnaire, one of the questions the students had answered was if in fact they did see her kick me. Most of the responses I read did come back with a yes. So there was evidence in the fact that she did kick me. What really threw me off my rocker and makes me vulnerable, and makes me also understand why I was being targeted, is one of the questions on this that the students were asked is if when a teacher came in looking for me and asked my teacher where I was, my teacher responded to this teacher saying that I was in the bathroom talking to sinks. Honestly, I don't know why she would say this. This isn't even within my character. But even if it was, even if I did have a diagnosis that would cause something like that, who are you as an adult and as a teacher and as a mandated reporter going ahead and in front of a classroom responding like that? Which, again, I'm going to say a lot of my bullying was teacher-induced from that year. So what are you going to do? You know, you just have to pick yourself up and dust yourself off and hold your head high. I probably got bullied all the way up until high school. I had another teacher before high school. He was, okay, now this would not fly nowadays in school, but if you messed up in class, he made you stand up in the corner of the front of the class wearing a sign that said duh, D-U-H. And I'm sure it translates to the same thing now, but if it doesn't, I'll give you some synonym like duh, stupid, what are you thinking, why would you say that, things of that nature. I would be lying if I haven't said I wore that thing a time or two, but that's not what we're talking about, right? Ironically, he was a lot of people's favorite teacher, including mine. Even with that, I think because anyone in the class was susceptible to that, wearing that sign, not just being targeted by certain teachers like the last. So in 1991, our English teacher had us write this autobiography she made us write, or call it, if you will. And we had to write it to ourselves, and she said that it was going to go in a time capsule and get mailed to us. So, well, it's homework, so it has to be done. Should we go ahead and read this letter? Brace yourself, because I'm going to sound ridiculous, and I'm aware of this. But mind you, I was a kid. Okay, here we go. My name is Tara. The year is March 15, 2011. I am blank years old. I am a lawyer and I make $150 an hour. I live in Florida. I have a real big house, but not quite a mansion. My house is pink with gray. I have a husband and a daughter. Okay, side note, off the letter, that's actually true. So that's kind of creepy. All right, back on the letter, sorry. I have 3 cars and a 3-car garage. The 3 cars are a sports car, a Lincoln Town Car, and a Mercedes. I am happy with where I live and my job, plus the pay is great. The only thing in life that I dislike is taxes, especially for rich people like me. Off the letter, y'all, I'm broke, so this is funny. This did not, the vibe of this letter did not carry over into my future, but we're going to keep working on that, right? All right, back to the letter. Sorry, my bad. Okay. I have a habit, and it's going to the mall, remember what that was, and spending money, writing checks, remember what those are, and using credit cards. I have complete jewelry sets, and I also have a lot of makeup. Off the letter, I don't even wear makeup, or really jewelry for that matter, but all right, back on the letter, sorry. My land is 35 acres, and I have a lot of pets and 3 horses. That was the letter. Highly inaccurate. highly, highly inaccurate except for one part. But I did find that interesting. Just kind of set goals for the future, and it's funny to read later in life to see where you wanted to be when you were a child versus where you are now. So it's definitely a cool assignment, a cool read, and something neat to hold on to for a future keepsake. Plus, who doesn't love a time capsule? Now, high school. Well, that was a whole new ballgame for me. I found friends outside of my district and integrated myself with a bunch of different people from a bunch of different high schools all over and integrated in that gang life. Yeah. I stopped getting bullied though, and I'm pretty sure my mom respected me more this time than she did when I was in my 20s with the party people. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty sure that was the case. But I did experience a friend. I didn't have many friends in the high school I went to, but there was a group I walked around the school with in the mornings, and one of these girls had died by suicide because, from what I understand, she had gotten pregnant and was afraid of what her mom would say. And as an adult, it just so heartbreaking to even imagine that my own kid would not be able to come to me with a problem or anything like that. Although I did encounter that with my mom, but that's a whole separate podcast. So I guess for some people, they feel they don't have an outlet, and that's sad because there are resources out there. Utilize the number 988 and other websites and hotlines for people who feel they need to talk to somebody, even if it is a stranger. I also had lost a science partner, and that was a weird experience because losing people in high school is pretty soon to be losing people in life. But here I am. She was a very kind person. I didn't know her as a friend, but I knew her just as a partner in school for work. She was practicing an after-school sport when a vehicle had went off the roadway onto the school field, plowing through a bunch of students, and she ended up not making it. That was not easy for a lot of people. It's nice they made a park to honor her. That's good. I'm glad they did that. I had a health teacher. Remember doing CPR in high school? Well, I don't know if everyone's high school did it. We had to. It was a week before it had started. Everybody had got up to leave the classroom because the bell rang. And as I was walking out, the health teacher smacked my behind. And I was kind of shocked because it was like one of them smacks like if I were on the football field and I just scored a freaking touchdown and, my teammates are smacking my ass. It was pretty shocking to me. So again, I went home kind of baffled, telling my FAFO mom what had just happened. We ended up going down to the school. She called the police, definitely brought the police there. The school made contact with the teacher who did not come down to the office. He said he did admit to doing it and called it a reassuring pat. My mom then told the officer that she wanted to see the teacher so she can give him a reassuring pat. That never happened. The police obviously did not allow, and nothing happened as the teacher was tenure. All they did was what I feel like was punish me and stick me in study hall for the rest of the semester so I could just sit there. Okay, you get out of class and you still get credit for it, but it was boring. It felt like I was in detention. I don't do well alone and quiet. I'm a very loud and I need loud around me. So that was torture for me. So I just sat there and did homework. Some homework. I'm not going to lie. I did have a girl in high school and, for college, that matter, that I would have do my homework for me. There was no money exchanged or anything. It was more implied and offered. let's just go with that. I definitely appreciate them for all their help. Unbeknownst to me, I was inattentive, so them stepping in and filling in the gaps definitely helped your girl out a lot. So thank y'all for that. Yeah, senior year, I only did half a day work. I did the second half was like a corporate job that I went to. It was fun. It was a good experience. It was, secretarial. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of bored. Every Monday was the same. Every Tuesday was the same. And in the 90s, the best thing to do then when you were bored was send back funny emails back and forth. And I literally was one to print them up and put them in a binder. So to this day, I have all the company emails sent back and forth, which hindsight would totally make HR side-eye if they seen. Yeah, good thing that company doesn't exist anymore. So that's that. Yeah, then I graduated and never looked back. I was done. And now I think it's time to transition to the role of me being in school to being a parent with a child in school. That was intense. I was worried about her being bullied by teachers and students like I did, but I think I was projecting my own experience and worry onto her. But before I get to her and introduce her, let's go to commercial break, and then when we come back, we'll have my daughter Kaylee on and we'll further discuss schools. Have you ordered your copy of Reading My Late Sister's Cancer Journal by Tara Ledesma on Amazon yet? If not, what are you waiting for? Let's go ahead and read one of the journal entries now. Have you ever looked in the mirror and tried to smile, but all it does is make you cry? The reflection would make anyone cry. Bald. That's a quote from my sister that's in Reading My Late Sister's Cancer Journal. Buy the book today. 50% of the sales also go to a Live Well cancer facility for cancer patients and their families. And welcome back. This is your host, Tara Ledesma of Gapers Delay Podcast, and I'm here to introduce my daughter, Kaylee. Say hi to everybody, Kaylee.
Hi, how's it going?
And we are going to discuss her school experiences. We're going to start with the early years. What's your earliest school memory?
I honestly don't have a lot of memories of the early days, but I do remember, I want to say it was like kindergarten. I had a teacher and everybody was pretty sad because she ended up pregnant and had to leave halfway through the year, and I remember the whole class crying. I think that's just because everybody loved her. She was a great teacher.
What made her so great?
She was just very caring, very fun. Always had different class activities, but I think that's how most kindergartners see kindergarten, because it's, you're just doing art projects and stuff like that.
Or just doing art projects. You're not learning the alphabet or anything else.
But I don't think we realize at that age we're learning.
Right.
It's all just fun.
Yeah. The way it intends to be. I don't know what grade that changes at, but I think it's first, second, I don't know.
Somewhere.
Whenever homework starts, I think. Probably.
Yeah, it's definitely then.
For me, I remember a teacher from that school. She would call at night just to make sure you were going to bed at a certain time. And I found out that she was calling other parents and doing the same thing. And I actually had to call the school and complain on her because you came home upset one day because she was making everybody eat jalapeno bread.
It's probably like a jalapeno cheddar or something. I don't know. But I would not like that as a child. Maybe now, yeah. But
maybe now.
Back then, I hated anything spicy or with peppers.
Do you remember any of that happening? Or?
Vaguely. I think I probably remember your reaction more than I remember actually being forced to eat the bread.
Imagine that. The apple apparently didn't fall too far from the tree, so you have a FAFO mom then, huh? All right. Noted. What else do you remember about your elementary years, my dear?
I remember like having the little school dance. I remember that being a big to do. I remember my school dance like I said, I don't remember much, but I just remember everybody being extremely excited about that. I think it was probably maybe second grade or third grade, something like that. I think it was a daddy-daughter dance.
Yeah, I have a picture of that somewhere in the basement.
But I remember everybody being so excited to listen to music and dance and hang out.
I think we have video of that too somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
You sent it to me actually not too long ago.
Okay, that makes sense why it's fresh in the memory. It must have came up recently in a memory feed, that's why. No, that makes sense.
But yeah, not much that I remember, just like big little memories of things.
So it was more so when we moved.
Yeah, everything kind of stayed in my brain.
Yeah. Why? Because was it the teachers, the students, or just the vibe altogether?
I think maybe I was just older, able to retain more information. I think as a kid, it's just in one ear, out the other. You know, you're too busy on what am I going to play next? What am I going to watch next? What's going on outside? What
glue am I going to peel off my hand next?
Yeah, am I going to try and eat the glue?
Okay, I was never one of those, but I did peel the glue off my hand.
I wasn't, but I saw other kids
do it. I saw other kids do it. Disclaimer. All those other glue-eating kids, how you feeling nowadays? Okay, anyway.
Most of my memories are probably from like intermediate school into middle school and then into high school. Intermediate school, I don't know if it was like 5th or 6th grade. I had a teacher, and for some reason she always had like some weird hatred, it felt like, for me. She would stand in front of the doorway welcoming every single student as they walked into the class. But any time I walked up to the door, she'd like not look at me or roll her eyes or like make a little scoffing noise. And it's just, I don't know, there was an undertone of hatred there, because why are you saying hi to everyone but me? What did
being singled out? I know what that feels like.
What did I do to you? And I know I probably wasn't like the best student to have in class, because as you said, you have ADHD. I'm not diagnosed, but I'm assuming.
We can assume. Yeah, it is said to be hereditary, so like mother, like daughter.
So I imagine I might have been like a little talkative.
Same report cards as me. No, they were.
Hard to turn in, get my assignments turned in, because I was a little lazy with that.
Putting your name on.
I would often forget to put my name on things.
That's why I failed a communications class in college, was because I forgot to say my name during a speech in front of class. And when they called me out on it, I said, oh shit, I forgot to say my name. And then I realized I said shit, and then I panicked and said, oh fuck, I said shit. And then I'm looking at the blank stares of all my college classmates, and I'm mortified. So I just left communications class and never went back. Yeah, that was my last day for that. So I understand. Yeah. I mean, I don't think yours was that dramatic, but
no,
I get it. You know, sometimes you forget.
Yeah, she also gave me a detention once because my desk was messy, which obviously my desk is going to be a little messy. I wasn't very organized as a child. I thrived in chaos, I guess. I don't know, organized chaos. But I had papers everywhere that weren't in folders. I had a couple crumpled up papers, and I remember the kid in front of me, he had like food from like 3 days ago in his desk. But I got a detention because my desk was messy, and it took me a little bit longer to find something that she needed me to find in the desk.
Yeah, it does sound targeted. That's how it happens.
Whatever.
Same school district as I went to, though, I think.
Yeah, that might play a role into it.
Interesting, but we're not going to talk about what district that was. But anyway.
Middle school, I actually shaved my head for St. Baldrick's for kids with cancer. We raised some money. I went bald. I didn't think I was going to go bald, but she asked me if I wanted to, and I said to hell with it, and I went bald. Which is insane to do, I think, for a middle schooler, but I was pretty brave at that age. I didn't really care.
Well, when you're that young, you don't think about any consequences or what might occur after doing it, you know.
The bullying was intense. That's the crazy part. I did find some weird supporters, but with the
What do you
bullying-
mean by weird supporters?
Well,
Back up. Wait, I
well,
want to know what this
We'll get
weird...
into that.
No.
Let me continue.
Oh, no.
We'll get
Now
into
I'm
that.
distracted. Okay, go ahead.
So because of the bullying, I would often be sticking up for myself, and I was very mouthy as a child. I wouldn't really use my fists, but my words definitely came through clear, and nobody wanted to physically contact me. But I think just sticking up for myself all the time, I was very loud, and so teachers would hear that, and I would get the detention and not the other kids. We all shared health textbooks in middle school, every class. Like if you were in 5th grade, if you were in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, whatever. Oh, it's 7th and 8th grade. If you were in 7th or 8th grade, you had the same textbooks as the 8th graders. So they were shared throughout the entire school. And I remember seeing Kaylee Ledesbian written in almost every single textbook I could open. Every single one. And so I don't know exactly what I wrote, but I know I wrote something pretty harsh and pretty rude, and I definitely signed my name. But eventually, probably, I'm assuming somebody who wrote that saw that I was responding in the textbooks, and they showed it to the teacher. I'm just assuming that's what happened, but a teacher saw it, and I got called down to like the guidance counselor's office.
The guidance counselor.
And then right after that, I got written up for a detention for sticking up for myself in the textbooks, which I shouldn't have been signing my name. But I mean, I think
I mean, technically you shouldn't have been. I mean, if you want, you could be like, look, teacher, look what they wrote about me in the textbooks.
but there's no finding out who wrote that. It's not like they're signing
That's
their name.
true.
Every single kid in that school is using those textbooks.
If anybody out there knows the response my daughter put in them textbooks, please let us know in the comments below, because I want to know what she wrote as a parent. I'm curious.
I know it was some mean shit. That's all I know. I was pissed.
Oh, huh. I'm curious now.
I do also vaguely remember me being in the front desk or like in the front office of the school and a teacher hanging up on you in front of me.
Yeah, that's because I wanted to call you off school the last half hour, and she kind of told me no. And I was like, how are you going to tell me no? Like, I need to take my child out of school. I am the parent. You are an office administrator. Yeah. I will see you in 5 minutes. So yeah, she probably didn't like that much.
I was in the front office waiting to be picked up because I knew my mom told me I was going to get picked up at this time. So I told my teacher and I left class and I went to the front office and she was like, no. And yeah, it was just crazy. And she ended up hanging up the phone on my mom, like slammed it down on my mom in front of me.
Oh yeah, I believe it. Okay, now, like you said earlier, you were going to come back to this and I'm not going to let you forget it. What about these weird bald supporters?
Bald supporters. So because I was constantly in detention in middle school just for sticking up for myself, I was a frequent flyer in detention, so I made a lot of friends with, I guess, the other detention kids.
Like the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, almost. Honestly, it was like a middle school breakfast club. So there were always these few kids that were also in there, and they were always proud of me for sticking up for myself, and they said that's what you should do, and they'd get mad for me. But I remember one time one of the kids, he was sitting behind me, and he just starts like I don't
massaging?
Hovering his hands over my head.
Like it was a crystal ball or something?
Yeah, maybe. And I was like, what are you doing? He was like, can I just touch it for 1 second? I was like, okay. And he touched the top of my head. And then he sat back down and he was like, it feels like peach fuzz. And I was like,
peach fuzz?
Like, okay.
I mean, you have to admit, I mean, to be honest, that honest and just ask instead of just doing it unprovoked. That would, at least you asked.
Very weird.
I bet. I'm sure it was weird, probably more for you than it was for him. He was probably contemplating that for a while.
I did have somebody recently tell me that they would mistake me for another short person because I'm fairly short, and so was this other kid, but he was a boy, so apparently he mistaked me for him because he was short and he had freckles too, so he always get us confused because he also had his head shaved at the time because he also did St. Baldrick's. But it's not as crazy for like somebody who,
is a boy and does it right.
A girl, I think in middle school, or at least I think that's why he did it. Maybe he did it for sport. I don't know. Middle school is, again, also a vague memory, but I do remember a lot of things very well.
So what made him weird, though?
I mean, the kid touched my head.
Oh, yeah. So that was just the weird, they were all...
They were very kind. I mean, you wouldn't expect a bunch of detention kids to be very kind. You would expect the jerks and assholes to be in detention, but it was actually a good little group we had. But I did have one favorite teacher. She was always kind of like a hard ass on everybody, but she was also somehow everyone's favorite at the same time.
See, seems to be a common denominator, because that everybody was on the chopping block. It didn't matter who you were, the rules were rules. So it seems like the common narrative here to being a good teacher is accountability.
Yeah. But my freshman year, I didn't even have her yet. And they would send us out into the courtyard at the end of the day to wait for the buses to come, and you would wait for your bus number to come, and you'd go home. So I'm standing outside in the courtyard, and I don't know if I was getting bullied or the kid was just being an asshole, but I basically told him to go dig a ditch and die in it, and I called him a fucking pussy.
I should not be laughing.
Unfortunately, this teacher had her window open and was still in her classroom on her computer when she heard me screaming this very loud outside her window. She came running up to the window and she pointed her finger at me and she said, "You stay right there." And she came running out and gave me a detention. I hadn't had her as a teacher yet, as a freshman. But I had her later on in like junior, senior year, and I ended up learning a lot from her. I actually have her on Facebook now.
Imagine that. So
she's often liking everything I post too, so that's nice.
She was one of your favorites?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, that's good. Favorite teachers definitely make a difference in the experience.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I remember somebody setting our mailbox on fire.
Oh, yeah, that was why you were still getting bullied. And then we went to, I went to your SRO officer, your school resource officer, to get a report from the school because the same people we believe might be bullying you inside and outside of school. So I wanted documentation, but they didn't want to give me documentation. So that was a fight, but I ended up getting it. So it worked out. And I don't know how the bullying went too long after that, but I thought I remember it stopping a little.
I mean, yeah, with that group of people, it definitely stopped. I do also remember one time in high school, I think I set off like a side alarm, but
what's a side alarm?
I don't know. So the fire alarm is covered with a box, but I saw like a lock. So I was like, is it locked? Like, it shouldn't be locked. So I went to just lift the casing to make sure it wasn't locked, and it set off like a half-ass fire alarm.
Was it just buzzing?
I mean, the whole entire stallway was buzzing. There was a light on and everything.
But not the whole school?
No.
Oh, so just that section?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I went running.
Now you run. The track comes into play. Track has finally worked its way into value. We have not used a squared plus b squared equals c squared yet in life, but she has used track, people. Let's document this.
Hey, my friends went running too.
So intrusive thoughts won that day, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, noted.
That's accurate, unfortunately. But it's a funny story to think about now because I didn't even get in trouble for it.
So nobody knows it was you, so they didn't have cameras.
They do, but I imagine they just didn't bother to look or get me in trouble. I don't know, but there are cameras. Maybe they didn't work, but
maybe they were the fake ones at the time. They didn't invest in real ones yet.
Maybe.
Who knows?
That's a possibility, but I did not get in trouble for that. Nobody talked to me about that. I was very nervous to go to school because that was on a Friday, and I was very nervous to go to school.
Yeah, Monday. That whole weekend you were shitting balls.
Damn near.
So yeah, really, that pretty much sums up high school, I think, for both of us. Outside the time the school called me to tell you they could not find you, that you did not come to school. And I said you were at school, that right now you should be at track meet. And they said you were not at the track meet or practice, whatever it was. So I'm starting to drive like a bat out of hell to the school. And within the next 20 minutes, they call back and found you right where you were supposed to be, practicing track. So that was...
Maybe because everybody's so tall compared to me, so you can't really see me. Maybe
you were lost in the
crowd of people.
Yeah. Any other high school things?
No.
How about college?
College, not much either. Honestly, I didn't stick around in college for too long. I think I did like 2 semesters and stopped going, but
I think because you forgot attendance was a requirement, but keep going.
That was by choice. So, I do remember dropping a teacher on day 1 of our first day of class. He was my math teacher. And he kind of reminded me of that teacher from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Bueller.
It's very monotone.
Bueller. And so he had a very strong monotone, and also it was math class, so I'm not very great at math. On top of the monotone.
Neither am I.
And he also said that no calculators were allowed in the class. And that was my decision right then and there, that I am no longer going to be coming to this class. And the girl next to me agreed. She was also dropping the class. So, we were out of there.
I'm sure you two weren't the only ones going back. But, I guess that will conclude our school podcast. Thank you guys for listening. And hope you join us next week when we talk about driving, driver's ed, and anything cars. Until next time, have a good